Welcome to the Daily DLP. I'm your host, Thompson, and today I'm recapping the first day of the legal tampering period of free agency as it pertains to the Detroit Lions and friends. Let's get it on! I'll start with the biggest signing of the day. The Lions signed guard Graham Glasgow to a 3-year, $20 million deal. This is vital to the team, as both of their guards were up for free agency, and turning over both of them would have jeopardized the team's greatest strength, their offensive line. Now, the team just needs to replace the one who didn't play as well last year for a myriad of reasons. Glasgow has also served as the team's emergency center, a situation he personally detests, and hopefully the team will address either later in free agency or the draft. They do still need also to pick up a veteran center who can actually play in the event that Frank Ragnow goes down. But for now, Glasgow's a Lion. All the fans are happy. The locker room is happy. Everyone is happy. Which brings us to the biggest loss of the day. Guard Jonah Jackson signed a 3-year contract worth a possible $51 million with the Rams. Now, I started saying last January that this was the most likely outcome to the next year and a half or so, is Jackson playing somewhere else because he was going to just frankly cost too much. And given that there was no real disparity in the quality of play between these two men, and Jonah Jackson is making literally 250% of the money that Glasgow is making because of age. That's just what it is. He's a younger player. He will play longer. He gets paid more. But that's why Graham's back and Jonah's not. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Lions picked up a starting corner through a trade. His name's not Sneed, which is the one everyone had rumored. It's Carlton Davis III. He has been a starting corner for the Bucs for a little over half a decade. He's 27 years old. And he was second on the Bucs in snaps played at corner despite missing 4 games this season. He's consistently put his hands on the ball at a rate of nearly 1 a game, which is... You'd like him to catch a couple more of those, but that's like some borderline Hall of Fame numbers, bluntly. That's a lot of passes defended. If he just caught more, that is the sort of thing that gets you in the Hall. Not that he hasn't caught his fair share, just not 10 a season kind of thing. The reason the Bucs moved on from him is the $11 million in cap savings they got, and they just signed their quarterback to a massive deal, and they re-signed Mike Evans to a contract that's going to hit the books a lot faster than that quarterback contract. So they can't sign everybody. This is the kind of player they probably would have got some kind of compensatory pick for. They just jumped a year early to get that. Obviously, if he was coming off a great year, $11 million for a corner is not a large amount. As of this recording, the Lions have not extended Davis, but I would expect that to happen shortly, given that they paid a significant amount for him. The Lions gave up their extra 3rd round pick this year. That's the one acquired from the TJ Hawkins trade. And they received 6th round picks this year and next year in addition to Davis back in that trade. Now, I always say like day 3 picks, they don't matter. But it's like the lottery. You don't play, you can't win. And it's ammunition at the very least for trade ups to get guys that they actually do want. As part of my coverage this year, I watched 4 Bucs games Davis played in, looking for weaknesses in the Buccaneers defense to talk about, and he didn't come up. He missed 5 games this year with injury, so there were 2 games I watched that he didn't play in, and that's really the only downside as far as Davis's career goes. He's never played a full season, not one in 6 years. But he also doesn't miss more than a couple the vast majority of the time. Guys get hurt. It's football. When he's on the field and healthy, he is very good. But because of that injury issue, like, they'll probably still draft somebody somewhere. It's just not the gaping hole on the team that it was yesterday morning. My read on it's kind of like this. There's my theory of what happened. I have no sources. No one said anything to me, but there were reports the Lions were one of the teams sniffing around L'Jarius Sneed, Reports also said that the Chiefs were holding out for a second-round pick. The Lions draft before every team but the Chiefs. If every team in the negotiations was offering a third, the Lions' third is the worst one. So unless they were willing to move up to a second, they weren't going to get that player. So my theory is they decided, well, we're not giving up a second. So they called around to teams and found out what they could get for the pick they were actually willing to trade. And the answer to that question became Carlton Davis III, because there were zero rumors about this player being available for trade, which tells you exactly how much credence you should put into the rumor mill, because, nobody knows anything. Anyway, in 2 games against the Lions last season, he allowed less than 30 yards. The price they paid tells you they think he's the starter. And remember, Brad Holmes knows more than you, knows more than me, knows more than PFF. Think of it this way. Would you rather have Broderick Martin or a corner who has started 75 games for a top-tier defense and won a Super Bowl? If you're mad about this deal, it's because you're wrong. And those are the big moves. The Lions also signed Marcus Davenport to a 1-year incentive-laden deal that's a $6.5 million maximum $10.5 kind of thing. That appears to be the contract terms, unless I've missed something somewhere. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Davenport hasn't done anything since 2021. I specifically left him off my list of edges because it just didn't seem like the kind of move that they would make because he was going to get paid this much. But he's 27 years old. 6.5 isn't really that big of a contract to give. Not the move I would have made. But again, see above where I said that Brad Holmes is smarter than me. If he can get back to what he was before the shoulder injury basically ruined his 2022 season, and he spent a bunch of last year on IR as well with an ankle injury, if he can get back to that 2021 season, he put up 9 sacks that year. That's what the Lions are betting on here, is that he's going to come back, do that, be useful. It does nothing to whether or not edge is a draft need. It is a 1-year deal. I don't anticipate that being extended unless he performs this year. Neither of his injuries should individually carry any kind of long-term consequence. It's the same ankle injury Cooper Kupp came back from. There's not a whole lot more to say about Davenport. He was on the Vikings last year, did nothing. New Orleans before that, so that's how you get the lines drawn between him and the coaching staff. He's more explosive off the edge than Charles Harris or Romeo Okwara were ever going to be. So there's that. And if that's what the Lions were trying to accomplish, this is a relatively low-risk way to do that. It's a 1-year deal, so it affects nothing long-term. Nobody's not getting extended because Marcus Davenport was brought in this year. And yeah, I just want to say one thing about all of the talk on various platforms about what the Lions have done. The Lions were never going to get Christian Wilkins. I said it in my defensive line free agency preview. The guy's perfect for what they need, but Holmes is never going to win that bidding war based on money alone. And Campbell won't want a player with a contract that means he's untouchable with the team because of the situation that he had to deal with Ndamukong Suh in Miami. This is a draft and development team. They have said that in numerous press conferences constantly. So if you're mad that they didn't do more, that's on you. They picked up a starting corner. They picked up a guy who's a 50-50 shot to play starter snaps until he gets hurt. I'm hoping tomorrow that they'll sign someone like DJ Reader and make a bit of more of a splash, but I'm not counting on it. The Bears, on the other hand, won free agency today. DeAndre Swift, whole pile of money. But he's not going to have reasons to play through injury, which he only ever did in one season. Coincidentally, his contract year? I think not. Remember, 2 teams have walked away from this guy in the last 2 off seasons, and our team was one of them because of who he is as a person. The Bears also traded for Ryan Bates earlier in the week, which is kind of they're paying $5 million for an Evan Brown level player. Cool. Kevin Bayard may have something left in the tank at safety, but he definitely did not show that he had it last year. So we'll see how that goes. I would have rather had Eddie Jackson if I were them, but, it is what it is. The Packers put together the best backfield in the NFL by signing Josh Jacobs and pairing him with Aaron Jones. And then later in the day, they cut Aaron Jones. Please, Green Bay, keep doing the Bob Quinn thing where you sign a player and then cut the good player you already had in his position. Worked out super well for us. They did also sign Xavier McKinney from the Giants to replace Darnell Savage, and that's 24-year-old ball hawk, which is not fun for us because McKinney is that is an upgrade. Not going to lie about it to be funny. We'll see what else they do in the coming days. On to the Vikings, who lost Kirk Cousins to Atlanta, and their fan base is on the struggle bus. They did sign Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel to replace Marcus Davenport and Danielle Hunter. That's probably a push, other than that they did get younger at the spot. They also signed Blake Cashman to shore up their linebacker spots. It's fine. I don't think they're appreciably a better team after this, but those people fill the holes that they did have. Until they figure out quarterback, which they did sign this morning, Sam Darnold has apparently agreed to terms with them for a year. That's going to go well because if you liked what happened when the Vikings played the Lions this year, Sam Darnold just does that exact same thing where he just throws bad interceptions constantly. Sure, tomorrow we will get, or today, since I'm recording this in the morning after having read it, there'll be more signings. I'll be back again tomorrow. See you then.